Welcome to our video. Does your carbon footprint even matter? Or is it just a marketing gimmick? Today, we're diving deep into the concept of a carbon footprint and exploring whether it truly signifies individual responsibility or if it's merely a tool for businesses to shift accountability. We'll examine the impact of personal actions in the context of broader systemic changes and discuss how marketing shapes our understanding of environmental responsibility. By the end of this video, you'll better understand the complexities surrounding carbon footprints and how knowledge can empower both individual and collective efforts toward real change. 1. The concept of a carbon footprint, more than just numbers? In a world increasingly concerned with climate change, the term carbon footprint has become ubiquitous. It refers to the total amount of greenhouse gases, primarily carbon dioxide, that are emitted directly or indirectly by an individual, organization, event, or product. The idea is straightforward. The smaller your carbon footprint, the less harm you're doing to the planet. But is it really that simple? Some argue that the concept is a powerful tool to raise awareness and inspire action. Others, however, believe it's more of a marketing gimmick, designed to shift responsibility from large corporations and governments to the individual. The origins of the carbon footprint can be traced back to the late 1990s, when it was introduced by environmentalists to quantify the impact of human activities on the planet. Since then, it has been used extensively to encourage people to adopt more sustainable lifestyles. But critics argue that focusing on individual carbon footprints can obscure the larger systemic issues that need to be addressed. After all, how much difference can one person really make? 2. Individual responsibility versus corporate accountability. One of the main criticisms of the carbon footprint concept is that it places too much emphasis on individual responsibility. While it's important for people to be aware of their own environmental impact, the reality is that large corporations and industries are the biggest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions. For example, a report by the Carbon Majors database found that just 100 companies are responsible for 71% of global emissions. This raises the question: is it fair to ask individuals to bear the brunt of the responsibility for reducing emissions? Some argue that focusing on personal carbon footprints allows corporations to avoid accountability and continue with business as usual. It's easier to sell eco-friendly products and services to consumers than to implement meaningful changes at a corporate level. 3. Does reducing your carbon footprint make a difference? While it's true that individual actions alone won't solve the climate crisis, they can still make a meaningful impact. Every little bit helps, and when millions of people make small changes, the cumulative effect can be significant. Simple actions like reducing energy consumption, minimizing waste, and choosing sustainable products can all contribute to a lower carbon footprint. Moreover, by making conscious choices about how we live, we can send a powerful message to corporations and policymakers. Consumer demand for sustainable products and practices can drive change in the marketplace. It's a classic example of the saying, "Vote with your wallet." When enough people choose to support environmentally friendly businesses, it can encourage others to follow suit. 4. The role of marketing in the carbon footprint narrative. The concept of a carbon footprint has also been heavily marketed by companies looking to appeal to environmentally conscious consumers. Terms like carbon neutral and eco-friendly are now common in advertising, but how much of it is genuine? Greenwashing, the practice of making misleading claims about the environmental benefits of a product or service, is a real concern. Some companies use carbon footprint as a marketing tool to sell products that are only marginally better for the environment. For instance, a product might be labeled as carbon neutral because the company purchased carbon offsets, but that doesn't necessarily mean the product itself is sustainable. Consumers need to be wary of such tactics and do their research to ensure they are supporting truly sustainable practices. 5. The importance of systemic change. While individual actions are important, systemic change is crucial to addressing the climate crisis. This means implementing policies and regulations that hold corporations and industries accountable for their emissions. Governments need to take decisive action to transition to renewable energy, improve public transportation, and reduce waste. Individuals can play a role in advocating for these changes by participating in activism, supporting organizations that fight for environmental justice, and voting for leaders who prioritize sustainability. It's a collective effort that requires everyone to work together to create a more sustainable future. 6. Education and awareness. The power of knowledge. Education and awareness are key to understanding the complexities of climate change and the role of carbon footprints. By learning about the science behind emissions and the impact of different activities, individuals can make informed choices about how they live. It's also important to understand the limitations of the carbon footprint concept and recognize the broader systemic issues at play. Educational initiatives, both in schools and in the community, can empower people to take action and demand change. Knowledge is power, and by spreading awareness, we can inspire others to join the fight against climate change. 7. Carbon footprint calculators. A tool for change or a distraction? Carbon footprint calculators have become a popular tool for individuals looking to assess their environmental impact. These online tools allow users to input data about their lifestyle and receive an estimate of their carbon footprint. While they can be a useful starting point for understanding one's impact, they are not without limitations. Calculators often rely on averages and assumptions, which means the results may not be entirely accurate. Furthermore, they can sometimes oversimplify the complex nature of emissions. While they can raise awareness and encourage people to make changes, it's important to remember that they are just one part of the puzzle. 8. Conclusion. The balance between individual action and systemic change. In the end, the question of whether your carbon footprint matters is both simple and complex. On one hand, individual actions can make a difference and inspire change. On the other hand, systemic change is necessary to address the root causes of climate change. It's a balance between personal responsibility and collective action, and both are essential to creating a sustainable future.